What's going on YouTube? It's Dwayne, back again for another video, back again for another reaction. And today's a great day because you know why? We're learning about Sweden. It's always a great day when we learn about Sweden. And this video is 7 culture shocks since moving to Sweden. An American in Sweden. Yes, culture shocks, it's definitely a thing. If you move to a new country, I've lived in different countries before. I've lived in Thailand before, and there is a culture shock once you move to somewhere new and the culture's new and the people are different, and there's an adjustment, I can't speak, an adjustment period where you get used to the cultures around you and the customs, and there's always that, and sometimes you never get used to the customs fully. So it's going to be interesting to hear the differences in Swedish culture and the culture shocks that may arise from moving there. So without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, then hello, my name is Kim and I am an American who is currently living in Sweden. If moving to another country or traveling or just Sweden in general interests you, then I would highly suggest you hit that subscribe button, because
I definitely have the travel bug. Like, I've got an obsession with learning about new places. Sweden is my current obsession. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I am here for you, making tons of videos about what it's like to live in another country, learning about a new culture, etc, etc. It's a good time. So if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in future videos.
Yeah, subscribe to her channel.
If you are returning, then hello and welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me in another video. Number 1 is probably the most common thing that you Swedes have heard before. It's Systembolaget, the Swedish liquor store, where I am from in America.
Have heard so much about the Systembolaget. That's how I'm going to say it. I've heard a lot about it. It's interesting. It's different because obviously in the UK we don't have a system like that. We don't have, you can buy liquor, you can buy alcohol everywhere and anywhere at any time of the day or night. So it's interesting.
We have tons of different liquor stores, and private citizens can own their own liquor store.
Yeah.
So we could have 5 different individually owned liquor stores on the same block. Here in Sweden, there is one branch of liquor store, and it is owned by the government. And this liquor store is open Monday through Friday from 10 to 7, from 10 to 3 on Saturdays, and totally closed on Sundays.
Okay.
So when I moved to Sweden, I realized that you really have to plan out your drinking. No, you have to plan out when you want to buy alcohol, because in the US it's very normal to stop on your way home from work and grab a bottle of wine and have it with dinner. But if you get out of work after 7, the stores close. You can't buy it. And I guess in Sweden, for the most part, people end the workday earlier than 7. But yeah, in the US, you can end the workday later than that. So if you wanted to stop and grab a bottle of something on the way home, you can't. Kind of going off of that, there is no refrigerated.
10 to 7 is not bad. I wouldn't say 10 to 7. 10 to 7 is plenty of time to go and pick up some alcohol. You don't really need to plan that. If it's Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday or whatever it is, that's plenty of time to go and purchase alcohol. If you really want it, you'd buy it in bulk and you'd store it, I'm guessing. Let me know in the comment section if that's what you do. I don't think that would be an issue for most people from the UK moving to Sweden, even though we're used to being able to get it everywhere, like alcohol everywhere. I kind of wish that the UK did like regulate our alcohol consumption. It probably would do our country some good.
Section of Systembolaget. So you can't buy cold beer or cold wine, which I was extremely shocked about, because again, if you are going over to a friend's house for dinner, you want to pick up a cold bottle of wine that's ready to drink on the way, You can't. You have to get a regular room temperature bottle of wine and then put it in the freezer or the fridge and wait.
Yeah, but wine, this is what I thought. I thought wine you're supposed to drink at room temperature. Am I wrong? I'm not like a wine connoisseur. I'm not like a wine person. But I always thought that wine is supposed to be drank at room temperature. You're not really supposed to put ice in it or put it in the fridge to really get the full body of a wine. It needs to be at room temperature. Let me know in the comment section below if I'm right or if she's right. Oh, it's just personal. It probably is just personal preference, but I think the official way of drinking wine is at room temperature.
For it to chill. Same thing with beer. It's very normal in the US to pick up beer on the way to a party or a barbecue, cold beers. But again, here you have to really plan out when you are going to buy the alcohol because you have to leave time for it to get cold. And if you want to go and buy a bottle of wine on Sunday, you're out of luck. If you want to drink, then you have to either go out to a bar and grab some drinks with friends or by yourself at a bar, I guess. Or you would have had to prepare for that earlier in the week and you would have had to stock up. Number 2 is how difficult it can be to pay for things if you're not a Swedish citizen. So Sweden has made it very simple for their citizens to pay using Swish or bank ID. But if you're not a Swedish citizen, then it can be really difficult to pay for things.
What is she talking about?
I have even had issues with using my American debit card in the store. Some places get extremely confused by the card, and I've even had one instance where she didn't understand it at the grocery store, so I wasn't even able to pay for my groceries. Because something happens here where instead of putting my PIN code in, I have to sign the receipt. And I tell people I have an American card and you have to do something.
That's normal though. In England, it's the same thing. If you've got like an American card, a lot of the times you have to sign for the items just because it just doesn't register or work. I think that might be an American European thing, right? When American people try and come to Europe and pay for things, they have to sign. But I don't know if it would be the same case with a UK bank account chip and PIN card in Sweden. I'll cross that path when I get to it, but I'm sure it should be okay. Do you guys take Apple Pay? Isn't that universal?
So I can sign it, but this particular lady had never experienced this issue whatsoever, and her manager didn't even know how to handle it. So I had to leave all the groceries at the store, and later my fiance came and he paid. It can also be difficult to buy things online if you don't have a Swedish card.
Really?
I know I personally can't buy anything from Swedish websites because I do not have a Swedish card. So when you buy something on a Swedish website, it has to connect to your bank. And I guess most times you use bank ID, but since I don't have bank ID, it tries to connect to my bank and it always fails. So I literally can't buy anything from any Swedish website.
Wow.
The third culture shock that I have experienced since being in Sweden is...
So you don't have international banks then? Like, there's, massive banks like, I don't know, NatWest. What other big Lloyd's, TSB. There's like big international banks that HSBC is a massive international bank. You guys don't have that in Sweden. Do you guys have your own banks in Sweden? Because I would have thought that it shouldn't be that difficult to pay for things. That's interesting. It's good to know though.
Learning how long it takes to speak to a customer service representative for basically any company. I get it. It's normal to be on hold for a certain amount of time when you want to speak to an actual person when you're calling customer service. But I have never experienced the wait times like you guys have here in Sweden. It can take up to an hour and a half to speak to an actual person.
Wow.
This happened a few weeks ago with my fiance. He called the bank. He had to speak to somebody. We waited on hold for an hour and a half. That's insane. I get it, 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sure, but nothing like that long. And although that's the longest wait I've experienced, I've also experienced 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes.
It's kind of normal. It's the same in the UK. A lot of kind of like big chains, banks, government, phone lines take a long time, and the wait is long. You literally have to put it on your loudspeaker, put the phone down, and go in the kitchen and cook something or do some dishes or housework, and wait for someone to answer. So yeah, I almost expect when calling customer service for it to take a long time.
It's like, it's very normal to really wait to speak to somebody. So you can clean your house while you're waiting, you can shop online while you're waiting. So be prepared to be doing something while you're waiting to speak to a customer service representative, because it takes...
It must be like instant in America then. I don't know. She's obviously not used to waiting for customer service when she calls. They must have really good customer service in the States.
Takes forever.
It's normal for me.
The fourth culture shock that I've experienced since being in Sweden is realizing that basically no one drinks to-go coffee. So everybody sits down and really takes time to drink their coffee. I rarely see people walking around with a to-go coffee. In the US, it's very, very normal to stop at Starbucks drive-thru, grab a coffee on your way to work or in the afternoon. But here in Sweden, they...
Yeah, because you have a tradition of drinking coffee, right? You have coffee breaks. It's a part of your tradition. That's why you see people sat down and drinking coffee. No one needs to run around with the coffee in their hand because you guys use that time to socialize. That's why. However, you guys have Starbucks, so I'm pretty sure you have to-go coffees.
They love to sit down and drink coffee and have a conversation and eat something sweet.
Yeah.
They love it so much that they've even made a word for it. It's called fika.
Fika.
So it's very common for your friend to ask you if you want to go have a fika after work or on the weekends. It's a very, very normal thing to do. In America, I don't ever remember going out to coffee with my friends. It's more common to go and grab a drink or go and grab something to eat. But just to sit and have a coffee and like something sweet, I honestly...
No, we definitely have that in the UK. But instead of a coffee, we'd say, let's go have a drink of tea. So we'd go to a cafe. There's like so many cafes and places that sell tea and like a sweet bakery good. And you sit down, maybe share, I don't know, like 2 pastries. And just sit and talk and drink tea. So we get it. Must be a European thing.
Don't think I've ever done that. But yeah, here in Sweden, fika culture is huge. Sitting down and actually drinking coffee. The fifth culture shock is how difficult it can be to get a package delivered from PostNord. So when you get a package delivered here, they don't actually bring the package to you. You have to go and pick the package up from PostNord, which is like the post office. So you'll get a note or...
That's semi-normal. No, it's pretty normal. Well, in the UK, if you get a large package posted, most of the time, most of the time, it goes to a depot, a big warehouse, post office, and you need to travel to that warehouse and pick up your package, and you get a little slip and you go to the nearest one to your house and you pick up the package, unless it's like Amazon, and Amazon obviously they deal with their own distribution and they send it directly to your door. But when it's through the Royal Mail Service in the UK, you go and pick it up at a depot. So it must be like a similar thing in Sweden, I think.
A text message saying that your package has arrived and you have to come and pick it up. And sometimes you'll have to pay an extra fee if it's been imported from a country outside of Sweden or Europe, I'm not sure. But I know I've ordered something like from China, and my parents have sent me something from the US, and I've had to pay a fee to go and pick it up. And the thing with that is like, okay, all right, you have to go and pick it up, it's not a huge deal, but If you don't pick it up in time, then they just send it back. And that is kind of rude, I think. So
No, it's not rude. It's logistics. Like, can you imagine you're getting all these packages sent, and at some point, there's no space. If everyone in the country is getting packages sent, pick up your package. Otherwise, your package is gonna go back because there's no space to store it. So I don't think that's rude. I think that's just logistically makes sense.
So I had this issue. I sent a Christmas gift to my friend,
But I can see how that could be annoying.
and she wasn't home when it was delivered. She was visiting her parents in another city, and she wound up staying there for a few weeks. And by the time she got back home, the package had been sent back. So she didn't even get it. I had to resend it, and it's a whole thing. I don't love it. I don't know. The sixth culture
how long was
whole
that?
thing. She
Sorry,
didn't even
I
get
missed
it.
that.
I had to back home, and she wound up staying there for a few weeks. And by the time
Okay.
she got back home, the package had been sent back.
I mean, a few weeks. If she would have said like a day, or maybe like 3 days, I'd be like, oh yeah, well, that's kind of. But a few weeks, do you expect them to keep your package for a few weeks? I don't think that's unreasonable. I think it makes sense that they send your package back, and it also keeps your package safe if you send it back to the sender. Because maybe you sent it to the wrong address, and that person isn't able to pick up the package because it's been sent to the wrong address. Because a lot of the times you need ID to pick up your packages as well. I don't know if it's the same in your country. So yeah, you'd send it back. It makes sense. It makes total sense. But I do understand for her in America, like they probably really conveniently get all their packages sent to their house.
So she didn't even get it. I had to resend it, and it's a whole thing. I don't love it. I don't know. The sixth culture shock that I have experienced in Sweden is realizing how quiet it is. Everywhere is so quiet. The bus, the train station, restaurants, even walking around outside, it's so quiet. People just talk quieter here than they do in the US. Like in a restaurant, it could be full of people, but it's still like quiet. Like you don't have to raise your voice at all to.
That sounds perfect. So it's peaceful. There's not people shouting everywhere. You can have a nice conversation and hear yourself. I much prefer that. I much prefer peaceful and quiet surroundings than have a bunch of people screaming everywhere. Sounds nice. The way she's speaking about Sweden, I'm like, sounds good to me.
To talk to the people at your table. And rarely there's music in restaurants. Like in the US, you have music going, it's loud, people are talking. Sometimes you might even have a TV in the restaurant. And here it's much more quiet, much more reserved. And people just don't really make like small talk as much. When I go and get my nails done, the nail salon is dead quiet. They don't have music or anything, and the people who are getting their nails done don't talk to the nail artist. They don't talk to each other. It's like you literally go get your nails done, tell them how you want your nails, maybe say some things here and there, but you definitely like don't have a conversation with them or anything. And
Sounds good.
yeah,
Sounds good to me. You don't always want to have a conversation with someone. If we're being honest, you don't always want to have small talk because you're going there for a purpose, right? If you've gone to get your nails done, you've gone to get your nails done. Sometimes you don't want to have a conversation. I think there's beauty in silence. You know? There's comfortability and beauty in silence. If you're able to sit in a room and be silent with other people and be silent and still feel comfortable, I think there's beauty in that. Sometimes people talk too much to circumvent feeling awkward. And I think Americans do that a lot.
It's a thing. And when you're out walking, strangers don't really say hi to each other when you pass by. rarely someone will like smile at
because they're
you,
a
but most of the
stranger.
time you just walk past the person
don't
and
know
like
them.
pretend like you don't even see them. Just like keep looking straight or like look the other way. It's very strange. Swedes are, I think, much more quiet and much more reserved than Americans. So I guess that's why that's what it is, I guess. The seventh culture shock that I have had since moving to Sweden is the fact that Swedes put sauce on everything. On pizzas, on meat, on potatoes, on everything. There's always a sauce that goes.
You need to have sauce. You don't want it to be dry. I think that's a European thing, because in Britain, we love gravy. Gravy is on everything. We make gravy and we put it on everything. Gravy on chips, gravy on mashed potato, gravy on meat, gravy on fish, gravy on everything. So totally get it.
With the food. And in the US, we definitely don't have like extra sauces that you put on pizza. We have the classic tomato sauce. But when I moved here and realized that there's a sauce that goes on top of the pizza with the sauce already on it, I thought that was strange. But I have to admit, it is absolutely delicious, and I love Swedish pizza. And whenever I show a picture of Swedish,
I need to try Swedish pizza. It's a whole thing that I didn't know was a thing. Because obviously pizza comes from Italy, and Americans made pizza very famous in their own way. I had no clue that Sweden and Swedish people have a type of pizza that's very Swedish. And the doner pizza, what we call doner pizza, the kebab pizza, I love kebab pizza. And I thought that was a British thing, because I didn't... I always thought doner kebab meat on pizza was a British thing, until I learned actually it comes from Sweden. And I love that type of pizza, so yeah, I can't wait to try pizza when I go to Sweden.
Pizza to my friends or family with sauce on top of it, they're like, what is that? And now it's difficult for me to eat like meat and potatoes without a sauce. Now at home, I wind up putting like sauce on everything, and everybody else has dry food, and I'm like, ugh, how do you guys eat that? So thank you, Sweden, for opening my eyes to the delicious world of sauce. So guys, those were the 7 culture shocks that I could think of since coming to Sweden. Please feel free to leave your comments and opinions down below. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I love Sweden. I think it's a great country.
Nah, I don't think she offended anyone. I hope she didn't offend anybody. I think it's good to have your own opinion, and it's her lived experience living in Sweden as an American. So yeah, but I'm interested in you guys, your opinion, and actual Swedish people. The stuff she listed as culture shocks, do you think they're valid? Do you think any of them are a bit like, well, no, that's not a culture shock, like that's quite normal? Just let me know in the comment section below, and we'll have a discussion. Thanks guys for watching. Until the next one, I will see you guys later.